is 6 o'clock. We are going to get started here. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you spending some time with us here at Lakehead University to understand a little bit more about financing your education and how we can maybe help with that and how you can help yourself with that. So we are very excited to be here tonight. So thank you for joining. Before we get into the good stuff, I will let you know that tonight's webinar is being recorded. We are going to post this on YouTube for anyone who can't be here tonight to make sure that they still get the information that they need. Now, you may have noticed that everyone here except for the hosts have been muted for the presentation portion of this webinar, but that does not mean we don't want to hear from you. So please use the Q&A function in Zoom. It is in the bottom navigation bar. That will allow us to see your question and answer you either live, or we'll be typing out the answers for you so you can get the answers that you need hopefully this evening. There's also a chat feature which we can use if you prefer. We prefer the Q&A. It's easier for us to keep track of the questions, but if there's something that you need, please let us know in the chat or the Q&A function, and we will do our best to answer the questions for you tonight. I will also say that tonight's webinar is a general information session about different ways that you can finance your education at Lakehead University. So although you may have very specific questions about your OSAP amount or how you can pay for your tuition and books, we will be happy to answer general questions, but we do recommend if you have a specific financial aid question, please reach out to Student Central and they would be happy to answer any specific questions. Again, please do not post personal information in the Q&A or the chat feature, as we are in recruitment. We are here to help you become the best student that you are. And there are a lot of other folks that will be able to help you with very specific OSAP financial aid scholarship questions if you have them. But we'll do our best to answer those general questions and provide you with as much information as we can tonight regarding financial aid and funding your education. Before we get started as well, we do want to acknowledge that Lakehead University respectfully acknowledges its campuses are located on the traditional lands of the Indigenous peoples. Lakehead Thunder Bay is located on the traditional lands of Fort William First Nation, signatory to the Robinson Superior Treaty of 1850. Lakehead Aurelia is located on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabeg. The Anishinaabeg include the Ojibwe, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. Lakehead University acknowledges the history that many nations hold in the areas around our campuses and is committed to a relationship with First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples based on the principles of mutual trust, respect, reciprocity, and collaboration in the spirit of reconciliation. My name is Rebecca. I am an admissions recruitment advisor for Lakehead University for both Thunder Bay and Aurelia. I've been with Lakehead for a few years now, getting up there. And with me tonight, we are joined by my esteemed colleague, Tori, who is our senior recruitment coordinator, again, for both Thunder Bay and Aurelia. And we are both happy to answer any questions regarding recruitment, your program, and we'll get into some more specific information about financing your education. And to do that, we have the lovely Chantel, who is the Financial Literacy Engagement Assistant. So before we get into how you can go about funding, we do want to know a few things from you, just a few things. So Tori is going to put up a couple of polls here. So the first one is, we want to know where you are attending from. Are you in the Thunder Bay region? Are you in Simcoe County? Are you somewhere else in Ontario, Canada, the GTA? Are you international? So we'll just take a second or two to get these up and see where everyone is coming from. Oh, Thunder Bay Simcoe's in the lead. It's like a race now. Wow, amazing. I'll just leave it for 5 more seconds in case those last two folks want to answer. Oh, we got one more. Fantastic. Wow. Oh, perfect attendance. Well done, folks. Great work. 29 out of 29. Gotta love seeing that. Amazing. So we do have a few people from the Simcoe and Thunder Bay area. That's really, really awesome. And again, for the rest of Ontario, that is fantastic. Wow. Wonderful. Okay, second poll. We want to know what best describes you. So we'll get that up here. Tori will work that magic behind the scenes. Perfect. So, Canadian citizen, international student living in Canada, or an international student living outside of Canada. Let's see. Mostly Canadian or PR. All right. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Last but not least, we do want to know who are you attending with? Because here on this panel, we love animals. So we want to know, are you with your dog or your cat or your fish? Or Tori said snake last week, and I don't know if I can get behind that. So if you're with your snake or an amphibian of some sort, perhaps we can just leave that there. That'd be great. But are you with a parent, a supporter? Are you with a sibling, maybe a friend, or are you all by your lonesome, which sometimes is okay. I am currently by my lonesome and I am not mad about it. Fantastic. All right, me, myself, and I in the lead. Gotta love that me time. Perfect. All right, thank you so much. That just lets us know who we are sitting with in theory, who is around us, and thank you for answering those questions. That is fantastic. I will send things over to Tori now, who's going to speak a little bit about the beginning portion of financing your education. So, Tori, when you're ready, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rebecca, for the super warm welcome, and welcome to everyone who's attending our Financing Your Education webinar this evening. Again, we're so excited to spend a little bit of time with you and hopefully answer all of your questions on how to make things work well for you financially at university. So Lakehead University has a unbeatable financial aid package. You'll see on the screen there that we provide over $11 million annually in the form of scholarships, bursaries, and awards to our students. We're really there to assist and support students, and there to fund students just like you with your education. So let's dig a little bit deeper and find out some of these opportunities that we have available. So you'll see on the screen, there's a couple of things stated here. One's the work study program. I'm going to touch on the work study program as we go a little bit further through my slides this evening, but this is a great opportunity for students to earn money while they're a student. I do want to touch on the Destination Lakehead bursary. So this is a bursary that's available for any student that is direct from high school. So if you're on the webinar this evening and you're a direct from high school student and you have not yet applied for the Destination Lakehead bursary, get it done. The deadline for this application for this bursary is June the 30th. This is up to $3,000 in funding in this bursary. 1,000 of that is travel money. So if you are traveling or coming to one of our campuses that is located more than 250 kilometers from your home location, so maybe you're in Southern or Central Ontario and choosing to attend our Thunder Bay campus, or maybe you're in Sarnia or in Ottawa and you're choosing to come to the Aurelia campus, you're definitely more than 250 kilometers from home, and that gives you access to about $1,000 in travel money. The other $2,000 is bursary funds, and so that's available for any student coming in. There is a quick questionnaire that you have to answer based on financial need, but again, this application does June the 30th for those direct from high school students. You can find this application on your My Info section of the website. So if you go on to My Info on the applicant tab, you'll see it there. Our entrance and travel bursary. So that's the application that you're going to want to complete. So that's just kind of one of the entrance bursaries that we have available, entrance awards, scholarships, and bursaries that we have for direct from high school students, but we have other funding available as well. So the next slide is going to show a little bit more of other opportunities available for funding. So you'll see we're going to touch on the entrance scholarship in a few minutes. So I'm not going to go into much more detail on that one right now. We do have some athletic scholarships. So if you are a varsity athlete that is coming to Thunder Bay, there is a potential to have funding up to $4,500. Now, the athletic scholarships are managed by our coaches, our varsity coaches within our Department of Athletics. So this is all funded and managed through those coaches. And so if you have been scouted and you've signed and you're coming to us as a varsity athlete, have those conversations with that coach if you haven't already regarding accessing a potential varsity athletic scholarship from Lakehead. The destination Lakehead bursary I just mentioned on the previous screen. So this is the one that's up to $3,000, $1,000 in travel funds if you're more than 250 kilometers from home, and then $2,000 in general bursary funding. The transfer and the transfer award and the mature student bursary, transfer mature student bursary, are also opportunities for students that are not direct from high school. If you've completed a college program and now you're transferring into Lakehead, if you haven't already completed a degree now and you're transferring into Lakehead as well, lots of opportunities to apply for this transfer award and our transfer mature student bursary. These can be found on our website as well. So I'll post some information in the chat so you can find some links and find some additional information on how to find these scholarships and apply to them. All right, so I'm going to move on now and talk a little bit about the entrance scholarship. So this is kind of our favorite scholarship to talk about, and this is our domestic entrance scholarship. And our entrance scholarship is really there to recognize the super hard work and effort our future students have put into their studies prior to enrolling at Lakehead University. So it's one, it's a really fantastic scholarship and a really unique scholarship because it does have a free tuition option within this scholarship. So I'm going to go through this a little bit. I know sometimes it can get confusing. So if you do have questions, please feel free to post them in the Q&A so we can answer them as we go through as well. So this is a domestic entrance scholarship. First off the get-go, no application is required. So this scholarship is assessed automatically twice in the application year. So it's assessed based on your top 6 or best 6 grade 12 U or M level classes. So U are your university level classes and M are your mixed level classes. This is for students that are coming direct to Lakehead from high school. So what we do, we actually do 2 assessments. We're just getting ready to do an assessment now for that first round. We're going to do a scholarship calculation based on your top 6 midterm and final grade 12 U or M level classes. We're going to go out with a scholarship offer. So you'll see if you're sitting between 80 and 84.9, that's a $3,000 scholarship offer. 85 to 89.9 is a $5,000 scholarship offer. 90 to 94.9 is a $10,000 scholarship offer. And if you're 95 plus at this point, we're actually going to give you a $16,000 scholarship offer. Each of those amounts are broken down over the 4 years that you're attending Lakehead. We are then going to go out with an evaluation of your grade 12 final marks, and we will do another scholarship offer at this point based on your grade 12 final marks, so your top 6 grade 12 U or M level classes in July. Now, one question we get all the time about the academic entrance scholarship is, does it have to use my prereqs? It does not. So if you're coming in maybe into a science program and you really have really strong maths and sciences, but maybe your English mark is a little bit lower. If you've got 7 grade 12 U or M level classes, we're actually just going to discount that lowest mark. It could be English, even if it's a prerequisite for the program, and pull your average based on that. At that point, we're going to go out again with a second scholarship offer. So this is a great time that potentially you could improve your scholarship offer. So let's say in first round, I was sitting with let's say an 88.4, I would have got a $3,000 scholarship offer at that point. That would have been $750 a year for each of my 4 years at Lakehead. But if at grade 12 final, I've increased my overall average to 90.1 or 90.0, my scholarship offer is going to be reevaluated, and I will get a new scholarship offer of $5,000, which is going to be $1,250 a year for each of my 4 years. So I could improve my scholarship offer. The reverse can also happen, so don't panic. We're not going to take it away. So let's just kind of chat through the reverse of that. So let's say in midterm grade 12, right now, May time, I'm actually sitting with a 90% average. Lakehead's going to come out with a $5,000 scholarship offer for me at that point. And if my marks have dropped by grade 12 final, they will give me a $3,000 scholarship offer, but I get to keep the best of the two offers. So when we do those scholarship offers in May, that's a guaranteed offer for you moving forward. A couple of things around this grid. You do have to maintain averages with us to have them renewable on an annual basis. So if your scholarship is in the range of 80 to 94.9, you have to maintain an 80% average with us to have that scholarship renewed each year. And if your scholarship is at 95 and above, so the 16,000 or converted into free tuition, and I did say that is a free tuition scholarship if you maintain 90%, 95% average at grade 12 final on your top 6 or best 6 grade 12 U or N level classes. If you're in that top tier, you have to maintain a 90% average to have that scholarship renewed annually. One other question I get about scholarships all the time is how many of these do we give away? Okay, like how many do you really give away for free tuition or that $10,000 scholarship? These scholarships are unlimited. So that means if we have 100 students that qualify for a free tuition scholarship, all 100 students are going to get that scholarship opportunity. So it's a great opportunity to support students that have really worked hard, put a lot of effort in to support you with your education moving forward. Awesome. So that's the domestic entrance scholarship. And now I'm going to move on to our international grid. So similar to our domestic grid, we also offer an international entrance scholarship. And this is for non-Canadian citizens that are entering Lakehead from high school or transferring from an international college or university to be considered for an international scholarship. So this is a little bit different than the domestic one. The domestic one is only for direct from high school. But the international entrance scholarship is for students that are coming, non-Canadian citizens that are coming from high school or transferring from an international college or university to Lakehead. And really what this scholarship is available is to top up international students applying to Lakehead. And the averages are awarded based on the Canadian equivalent of your average used for admission consideration. The other thing that's a little bit different with the international scholarship grid is that scholarship offers are provided to students with your letter of acceptance. So the domestic students wait until May and July to get their offers for the domestic entrance scholarship, and the international offers actually go out with your letter of acceptance. Awesome. So that has covered our domestic entrance scholarship and our international entrance scholarship. Now I'm going to go on and talk a little bit about other funding. So coming to Lakehead, there's lots of opportunities for us to assist and support you. As I mentioned right at the beginning, we have over $11 million available in scholarships, bursaries, and awards. And when you come to Lakehead, I always kind of talk about funding options in kind of two packages. So the first package is those scholarships that you can get as a new student. So that would be the entrance scholarship, the Destination Lakehead bursary, the varsity scholarship, the mature and transfer student award and bursary. So all of those things that you're looking at before you even start with us. Once you start with us, actually in August the 15th of the year that you start with us, you're considered a current student. And so you can apply for all of the additional awards, scholarships, and bursaries through our general My Awards system as well. So the My Awards portal is another portal that you'll be able to have access to as a current student. And it's the one-stop shop for students to apply for scholarships, bursaries, and awards. They've worked on redesigning this portal to have a whole new look for students that really allows you to use a general application. And what I love about this, you can use the general application in My Awards, and then it automatically matches you with scholarships that you would qualify for. So this streamlines the process for you. You don't have to, scroll through and look at all the criteria. You're going to use the general application, and then it automatically sorts you for and matches you for these opportunities. So this is based on your responses to the questions that we ask, and the majority of the awards available through the My Award system, so scholarships, bursary, and awards, are we open this process on August the 15th to October the 15th. So just right when you're starting with us, you can apply for the My Award system from August the 15th to October the 15th annually. That allows you to be considered for all of our fall and winter awards that way. Sometimes there's a variety of different deadlines available as well. So we do really encourage students to check back on the My Award system. And sometimes there's also through the application process when you're applying for scholarships and awards through the My Award system, they may occasionally ask for some supporting documentation. So you may have to write a quick 500-word essay. You may have to submit a CV or a resume. You might have to provide some additional information based on the criteria of that award has been matched with you. So another great way to kind of provide funding for you. And this is an annual award, so you can apply for these every year that you're a current student with us. We do have other ways to assist and support students as well. And we're going to look at some of those other sources on this screen. So I'm going to talk about the work study program. This is an incredible opportunity for students to work on our campus. If you're a domestic student, it provides a great opportunity to work for the university in a variety of different aspects. So that could be everything from working as a tour guide, working in the library, maybe working in our athletic facility, working in research, working under a professor for research, interested in conference services or helping out or working in the residence or the dining hall. So lots of career opportunities and job opportunities through our work study program. The work study program is a form of a scholarship program. So you do have to qualify for work study. So the first process is on August the 15th of the year that you start with us, or the year that you're applying for a work study program, you're going to do an eligibility form. We're going to let you know if you're eligible for the work study program. Typically, if you're on financial support, so OSEP or student loan kind of is the criteria for the work study program. And then once you're eligible for the work study program, you can actually access our job board with all of the available work study jobs on both of our campuses. The jobs are available in the middle of August, typically close in October. What's great about the program during the school year is students are limited to working 8 hours a week, and we work those hours around your school schedule. So this is the most important thing, that we want you to be a student first and have priority to studies. And so we have the ability then to schedule and manage that outside of your classroom schedule. In the summertime, we also have a work study program that allows a student to work full-time with us in the summertime as well. So this is a great way to kind of see the behind the scenes of the university. I'm not going to touch on OSEP too much because Chantal is going to talk about OSEP shortly. But just some other ways you can fund your education. Definitely you can apply for a student line of credit. So this would be through the banking system. Typically, students applying for a student line of credit would need to have collateral. You cannot give a sibling as collateral to the bank. They don't want it. Or have a cosigner. So that might be a family member that's able to cosign on your student line of credit. Pros and cons to student line of credits. Typically, you do have to make payments while you're going to school on that student line of credit. And Chantal will kind of demonstrate how that's a little bit different than OSEP or a student loan. Definitely savings for those of you that are looking at coming to post-secondary. Hopefully you've been saving, working, and putting some money in the bank. So that's also a great way to fund your education and have some money saved for coming in. And the other thing is external opportunities as well. So there's lots of databases out there. There's a few of them on the screen right now on ways that you can find financing and student loans and things available. So definitely check these ones out. It is a great way to support you. And I always say, for coming into, when you're looking at funding sources, you're applying for scholarships, bursaries, and awards, look at it as a small part-time job. So, put in some time into every single week, tracking where you're applying, tracking kind of the amount that you're applying for, looking at criteria. If you don't match every single criteria on that scholarship, bursary, and award, apply for it anyways, because you may be the only applicant for that scholarship, bursary, and award, and that organization or institution might want to give that money away. You can also look in your community. If you're in high school, they probably have an access access to a binder or scholarship information. Think about the businesses that you are connected with or your family's connected with, who you bank with. All of those are different locations that you can have funding coming from. So lots of opportunities as well. So as we move forward off of this slide, we're going to talk a little bit about the Stay and Learn grant. So this is an initiative that was announced last year and has been continued for this year as well. And this is the Ontario Stay and Learn grant. And this grant provides funding for students in priority post-secondary programs that are underserved and in growing communities, such as located in Northwestern Ontario, Southwestern and Eastern Ontario. And for us, the program that is eligible for the Stay and Learn grant at Lakehead is our nursing program, both our 4-year nursing program as well as our compressed nursing program. So a couple of things to understand about the Stay and Learn grant. It does require the students to stay in the region post-graduation for a period of time. So typically for a 4-year degree, it does require that you stay and work within that region for 2 years post-graduation. It's 6 months for each year of funding that you receive from the government. It's the Stay and Learn grant really came into place to respond to labor market needs in that area, specifically around healthcare, and providing that opportunity for individuals to service the community where they've studied as well. So the great thing about the Stay and Learn grant, it does cover the cost of tuition, compulsory fees, books, and then direct educational costs, so things like supplies and equipment as well. The Stay and Learn grant is open already, so if you are going into our nursing program out of the Thunder Bay campus, you can apply directly for the Stay and Learn grant at this time. All right, so we're going to move on to some tips for applying, and I did cover some of this already. So definitely when you're applying for funding, so that's external scholarship. So you're applying, maybe for a scholarship at the TD or the Lions Club or a local business, make sure that you track that information. So I always think of this kind of like a part-time job. Keep a spreadsheet of where you've applied, what the requirements are, and then also, I recommend keeping a Word doc of those questions that you typically answer on most scholarship bursaries and awards applications. So you can tweak and rework those applications depending on the award that you're applying for. So most of the time, they're going to want to know about leadership qualities or accomplishments or things that you've done that would make you an ideal candidate for this scholarship bursary and award. Do review the criteria carefully. Many times the criteria is very, very specific, so it may list like 5 specific things that students need to have to get that award. I will let you know that many times the awards do go to individuals that don't meet all those criteria, because as an organization, as a company, as a corporation, they want to give this money away. So they're really looking for that opportunity to help someone fund their education. So definitely prepare your application like a job interview, keep it professional, be articulate on how you present your information. One thing I always say is maybe, although the big scholarships are definitely the ones that most students go for, those amounts of $1,000 or $2,000, don't forget about the little amounts as well. It's amazing how, you don't have to have that many $100 scholarships or $200 scholarships that equal 1,000 very quickly. And many times students don't apply for those smaller amount of scholarships, so more likely to maybe be considered or receive that scholarship moving forward as well. And then you're going to have to keep a budget, because you're going to have to declare this money that you're earning on your OSAP application for external funding as well. And Chantal can chat a little bit more about that in her portion of this evening. And the last slide, I think, is covering work-study program. I feel like I might have covered most of that already, Rebecca, so sorry, jumping ahead there as well, but it does have some information on the work-study program. It's a phenomenal program. We really enjoy the students that work for us in our department in a variety of different jobs. And the one thing I think that students really like is they get to see kind of the behind-the-scenes operations and working of the university as well. So it's a great way to support and fund your education. All right, so I'm going to take a breath. That was a lot of information that I covered. I'm going to pop into the Q&A and see if there's any questions that I can assist and support. I will be available for the rest of the evening as well, should any other questions come up. But at this point, I'm going to pass it over to Chantel, and she's going to provide us with some information around OSAP.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Lots of good information there, Tori. That's really great. I'm going to move on to talk about OSAP. OSAP is, it's not necessarily complicated and is a great tool for lots of people that cannot afford post-secondary education based off savings just for themselves. So what OSAP is exactly is it's a program that's funded by federal and provincial, the provincial governments. So it's designed to provide financial assistance to people to help them out with their post-secondary education. It is needs-based, so it is determined on individual needs. So what you qualify for versus what your friend qualifies for and what you receive versus what your friend receives may be different, and that's okay because you're two individuals. So everybody's needs are different. OSAP is also, it's supplemental. It's not designed to cover all the cost for school. So if you're living in a residence, it's not necessarily designed to pay for all of that. It's designed to help with post-secondary educational costs. You do need to apply for OSAP every year. So if you're in a 4-year program, every single year you need to apply. Year 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. There are a couple different types of OSAP. They both they both have pros and cons, that's for sure. Students are both considered for both of them when they apply. So there are grant portions and there is loan portions of OSAP. When you apply for OSAP, you automatically apply for both, which is great. If you only wish to receive grant money, that is definitely a possibility. We're going to talk a little bit more about that as well. But essentially, if you're receiving grant money, you don't have to pay that money back. If you're receiving loan money, you will have to start to repay that back at the end of your studies. Once again, it does mean that the grant money does seem a little bit better and more to people's liking. That being said, maybe you're only going to qualify for a little bit of grant money and you'll qualify for more loan money. So when you apply to OSAP, you'll need to have lots of information available as well. We're going to get into that. So don't worry if you're asking questions about what kind of information you need, we will get into that. If you do not want to receive any loan funding with OSAP, you do need to opt out of that every year. So there is an option, once again, to only receive grant money, but you do need to opt out of that every single year. It's not going to carry forward, okay? So this option, there is also a little bit of a line of credit like Tori was talking about before, and that is like through a bank. It's a little bit different, and we're going to get into that too on the next couple of slides. So to be eligible for OSAP, you need to be a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or protected person, and that's for full-time OSAP. You need to be an Ontario resident, so living in the province of Ontario, from the province of Ontario. You need to be also attending Ontario OSAP approved post-secondary program. So Lakehead University does qualify as one of those financial or those educational institutions. You need to also be enrolled in or entering a certificate, degree, diploma. It needs to be a minimum of 12 weeks in length. So those are all important things to highlight here. You can definitely, as programs change and evolve, changes may evolve, but as of right now, these are the OSAP rules and regulations. They are government rules and regulations too. So unfortunately, Lakehead University doesn't have any pull, and everything is very black and white when it comes to these specific rules. We also don't, just to put it out there, we also don't determine the amount of funding you get. or if it's grant funding or loan funding and what the percentages are. It's all government regulated, so we have to also adhere to a government code of conduct as well. So we're going to talk a little bit next about how the funding's determined. So it's determined based on, first of all, your financial situation. So it's for allowable costs such as tuition, compulsory courses, books, supplies, that type of thing like Tori was mentioning. You can actually have a computer cost put into there as well. That's only for the first year though. Personal living expenses, childcare, and travel. We're going to look at all of that stuff when we're looking at an OSAP application. And I'm saying we will help you in Student Central put together an OSAP application. We can walk you through it. We have lots of great tutorials as well. But once again, it is all very cut and dry and black and white through the Government of Canada. Okay. So just bear that in mind when you're looking at it. So we also need to look at expected financial contributions. So coming from parental, maybe your parents or guardians support, spousal support. We do look at income of the student themselves. We look at the parental income. If that is your living situation, we would look at your guardian income as well. We do look at the size of the family too, to determine, are there more children happening that are going through schooling? Is this parents' funding or guardians' funding going to be split up between multiple children? That is all in the question as well. We do look at, once, like I said, your income, your savings. We look at if you have dependent children, all that stuff is looked at. There is a situation where we also look at if students' parents earn above a certain amount of money, it's assumed that they're contributing towards the child's education. There is a small workaround around this, and if you have specific questions regarding a workaround around parental income, please reach out to Student Central. As once again, I mentioned, OSAP is definitely individually needs based. But based upon that, really the cut and dry answer is it's assumed that parents or guardians are contributing or to a financial contribution towards schooling. So once again, individual needs. There are situations where maybe you receive social assistance. There is ODSP as well, and Ontario Works Funds. They are not necessarily expected to contribute towards their education for other reasons. Again, if you have any questions specific to that, you can even connect with me later. I'm happy to put my email in the chat and we can talk about that privately. I can take that away later tonight even too, to just look at what some individual funds might be available for you regarding if you are an OSAP recipient or looking to get OSAP and you do receive ODSP or Ontario Works as well. We also do look at any kind of scholarships that you might receive and awards that you might receive. And we would also look at if you're living at home versus living away from home. So lots of ways that OSAP is determined, okay? We're going to talk next about how OSAP would be distributed. So we've got a little kind of picture here on the screen. It looks like it's got educational costs and financial contributions, which I've kind of already talked about. I already did talk about the educational costs as well. But once again, it's unique and it's based on these several things: educational costs such as textbooks, tuition and compulsory fees. I also want to note that, for example, for a nursing program, if you need scrubs, equipment like maybe a stethoscope, various things like that, it can go towards that. Little bit of living expenses, like I mentioned, for the computer cost for the first year. Childcare. If you have children of your own, I didn't mention that earlier. So if you do have children on, and you're the primary caregiver for them, OSAP may be able to be used to support child needs so that you can go to school and better your education, as well as travel costs are in there too. Financial, it's determined based on financial contribution. Like I touched on all of this stuff here. I think I already kind of touched on that. So we can scoot on to the next slide. I do want to just talk about OSAP, how it's distributed a little bit too. So it's provided upfront to students. So it's distributed twice a year. So in September, it's going to come. That's your first installment. Your second installment will come in January, and that goes towards your second semester. The reason we do that um, is to keep everybody grounded in the money that's being given out. And it kind of puts everybody on a budget. So that's the thought behind that. And that is a common question that I've received is why is it all in two separate installments and why not one big lump sum? There's definitely reasons for it. Um, and it's to just keep everybody on an individual financial plan based off of just one semester. What if you don't continue to the second semester? You won't have to pay back all of the second semester's funds either. So it's based on the semesters. So once again, one installment in September, one is going to be, the second installment will be paid out in January. So it'll automatically be applied just against students' tuition and mandatory fees as well. And then if there's extra costs, that would be given to you as well after that, or sorry, an abundance above beyond the cost of school. So we are going to talk next about the application process. I kind of already talked about this. Sorry, Rebecca. I think I skipped through a little bit. I got the Tory bug and went ahead of myself there. Sorry, everyone. So applying for OSAP. So what happens is when you apply for college or university through UAC, you'll be directed to the OSAP website. Now, if you don't need OSAP, I mean, then you don't need to apply for it. So it's as simple as that. You don't need to do that. But if you do, you're going to click register. It's very clear. If you're a new user, you do have to create an account. It does take a few minutes to create an account and you will need some information with you. So just take your time and make sure you're getting everything in there correctly. If there are errors or you're leaving something out, it will show up in red. It won't let you proceed to the next screen. So it is really easy to create an account and you complete an application. Lots of information in the application for sure. That being said, it is pretty quick. Like when I applied for OSAP, this was years ago, might I say, it was about 15 minutes. Students are telling me it's that quick as well. So I don't know if they're just speeding through it or what, but it is important to read everything. So it, I guess, can be as lengthy or as short as you need. But it is like a fairly straightforward, very clearly worded process. And again, if you're having a hard time doing it, please reach out to Student Central or myself. I can give my email address at the end here in the chat, and then you can reach out to me. I'm happy to walk you through it. We can share screens and have a good chit chat if you're not in the area as well. So complete the application. There is lots of information that you will need. And financial information is on there, unfortunately. So you will have to have a bunch of financial information with you. You can upload stuff on the website as well, right to it, which is the great part about it. You don't have to mail things in. Everything can be uploaded. So with the power of electronics these days, you can save a document as a PDF and drag that right into your OSAP file and add it on there. OSAP will reach out to you too if you're missing something, if there's errors. You can also get updates as well through your OSAP account. So you'll know if you've applied for something incorrectly, correctly, and for what reasons. They do give clear and concise reasons. Again, if you're not understanding something, we're here to help as well. With the masters, with different departments too, you'll need to be able to reach out to them for stuff. So for example, graduate studies, you might need to get some information from them as well if you're looking for OSAP and the master's program too. You do need to complete a student financial assistance agreement though, and that's for the lifetime of your loan. So what that's going to go over, it's going to say that all the information that you've given in this application, it's basically a personal attestation saying that all the information you've given in this information is true, concise, and in detail, that everything is accurate. It also talks about that your information stays with the OSAP community, and it stays safe and secure, and it is an agreement for the lifetime of the loan. So I will note that when you are applying for it, it is a loan, it is financially binding, and the documents you're attesting to do have financial implications if they are found to be falsified. So just make sure to bear that in mind when you're filling out the documents as well. What's really great about OSAP is you can track your status online too. So we're able to do that right on your online application, very easy, and it does give you email updates too. These are some common questions. So RESPs. So RESPs are registered educational savings plans, and families don't have to report their RESP withdrawal during the application process. So what that means is if your parents or guardians or yourself have set up an RESP and you're looking to draw from that to report for part of your education, that does not need to be included in OSAP. Leave that completely out. It's just going to be income. So anything made from earnings from the parents, guardians, and your income, okay? Scholarships and awards. So that doesn't need to be reported as well. It's really just as simple as that. It's going to be reported to OSAP on our own, so we don't need to include anything in that. The students will, if no notification has been received in writing, the student will then must report the award to OSAP. But if it's from a college or university, it's going to be sent right off. They're going to connect with us. There's going to be nothing for the student to do. So that's really good there. So employment during the academic term. So what that means is you can work in between these thresholds. 5,600 per turn and up to 11,200. That's for the fall and winter, for example. So you can work a little bit as well, which is great. So you can definitely add that supplementary income because like I mentioned before, OSAP is only supplementary. So how are you going to pay for the rest of your school? Like Tori was mentioning, through savings, through parental and guardian support, maybe through like awards, bursaries, and scholarships. But what about all the extras? With education costs rising, you are able to work a little bit as well, which is great. If your parents are divorced or separated, there are sections on the OSAP documentations where you will provide that. So it's a little bit touchy to have a conversation with your parent about this, but you will need to provide some details about primary custody, if they're shared custody, if there's one parent that's contributing financially and one that's not. If you can't get access to one parent's income, once again, let's take this away in a more personal setting and we can discuss that. Where there's step parents involved, their income would need to be looked at also in some situations. So there is a lot to get into, and it kind of doesn't answer all these questions here, I know that, but it's based off of the current parent that you're living with primarily. If it's shared custody, that's one thing. At this point, you'd have to pick a one-parent household to go through as far as funding goes. And then we can also add the secondary parent if there is maybe a step parent or another parent that is able to contribute financially as well. The parent's partner and income will have to be assessed as well and considered, even though they might not be supporting you financially. If your parent is remarried, it will need to be looked at as well. We're going to talk a little bit about repaying, and I do get lots of questions on this as well. And I just want to touch on what Tori was talking about before about the repayment versus like an OSAP specific repayment as opposed to student line of credits and loans. So with student line of credits and loans from a bank or financial institution, the repayment is going to be completely different. OSAP gives you the 6 months after you graduate or leave your full-time studies. You don't need to make any loan payments, which is really great. So they give you a little bit of breathing room to find a job that's going to fit your needs and suits your new educational achievements, right? So just the interest will accumulate on your student loan, but once again, you don't need to start paying that off right away. They don't require it. They're going to give you a little bit of cushion there. You will have to start paying the student loan 6 months after you leave school. So let's say there's a situation where, you take a 4-year program, you only complete year 1, and you work. I need to think about the program before until you're done the full-time studies or you leave your program, then 6 months after, regardless, you will have to start repaying those loans or the money back to the government. Okay. If you decide, oh, I'm going to go back into school, then you will have to reapply for OSAP. Like I did mention, it's yearly, and then that will stop the payments that you were currently paying. So they would get all kind of lumped back in together because we would recognize that you're back in school again. So if there is a little pause in education, you will have to start paying back the loans portion of it. Once again, grant portion, you don't have to pay back. With the student line of credits that you would get at a bank or a loan that you would get at a bank, there'll be interest-only payments at all the times. They don't really give a buffer. So that's the big difference with OSAP. So if you do qualify for OSAP and it is something that you're interested in, definitely look to the OSAP option first. If you are having trouble, though, making payments as they're required or on time, please reach out to OSAP. There are situations where we are eligible for repayment assistance. So what that could look like is your payments could be spread out over a longer period of time. It could look like your payments are lower. It could look like you have different payment plans based on your own financial needs. So all of that stuff can be looked at on an individual basis as well. I think that that is it as far as repaying loans goes. I'm going to hand this over to Rebecca now.
Wow,
And yeah, it's
that
a
was
lot.
fantastic and a
Thanks.
lot, but
Yes.
amazing information. Thank you so much. We do have a few questions that we're going to say out loud for everyone to hear, if that's okay with you, Chantel, and hopefully you can help with some of these answers in case more than one person is curious about this specific question. So when you do your OSAP estimator and you can see the grant and the loan, and you just want the grant, and let's say the grant is really small and now I've changed my mind, I do need to get the loan portion as well. Does someone have to reapply to that, or is there an option within the same application to say, I'd actually like to take both, please? You're on mute as well. I know, I love the virtual times. Isn't it amazing?
Love it. I swear I've done this before. So basically what you would have to do is you'd have to reach out to OSAP, and there is a supplemental form that you'd have to fill out to be able to have your needs not necessarily reassessed, but claiming your needs, because it is not an additional application. It is with your current application. You've already been approved for the funding. You just have had a change of heart, but you do need to amend that in the OSAP fields.
Amazing.
Just
Thank you. Perfect. So someone did their application and a specific amount was given to them, let's say today or yesterday or last week. If things change with a situation, with a living situation, a financial situation, and as we get closer to school, there's been a big change in, let's say, income. How can I go back into that application and change things to get reassessed for an amount that I could potentially get?
Yeah, so it is done, it's done right in the application. And it would say I think the button says reassess, and you can also upload the new financial documents to that page as well. I can, if you know what, I do have a screenshot on a separate deck that I have. Can I leave my email for this person and I can maybe email you the exact screenshot where it comes from? Because to give a visual aid, would that help? Do you think whoever this person is? I think it would
Probably,
help.
yeah, absolutely.
It is done in the application.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's like an
Amazing. Okay.
amendment.
Awesome. Okay. And this is a very um specific question. So I'm gonna read it out and I hope we can get it across and get the answer, okay? So someone is starting an ME transition program in June, and they were told to do a course load portion in the application requires the input of a value between 0 and 59. So would 59 be correct if we're putting in a course load portion in an application? The higher the better, perhaps?
Well, if you're doing a full course load, yes, but because it's a transition program, that might be the one thing that catches me up here. I'm going to
Okay.
take this one away, if that's okay.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll
Okay.
provide your contact information if you don't mind, or you could put that in the chat or somewhere
Yeah,
before
we'll
we
do
go
that right now.
tonight so that people who have
Oh,
specific questions can certainly do that. Thank you so
okay.
much for doing that, Tori. Fantastic. Chantel, do you know, is there a specific situation in which someone would not be given a grant portion in their application?
Nope. Basically, well, no, everybody will receive a grant portion. It just depends on how much grant portion it's going to be. So once again, the higher the financial needs, the higher the grant funding. So just
Okay.
to give you a personal story, I didn't this is back a long time ago. I applied for OSAP. My parental income was too much money. There wasn't an option to go with my mother, who made less money. What ended up having to happen is I didn't qualify for OSAP at all. Back then, years ago, there wasn't the grant options like that, like there are now. Now there is. It's a big change, and we are there to help. And once again, it's government funds, right? So maybe they're going to give you $10 for grant money. We don't know.
Amazing. Okay. But that information should be pretty easily available in an application, correct? It'll state quite clearly what is a grant and what is a loan portion.
Oh, so it's not in the application. It'll be, so when you apply for OSAP, you apply for everything. You apply for all the grant, you apply for grant and loan. Then OSAP comes to you and they say, hey, you know what, Rebecca? We're going to give you $7,000 worth of loan money, but we're also going to give you $2,000 worth of grant money. And at that point, you're going to say, thank you, Mr. OSAP. I would only like to accept my $2,000 worth of grant money and goodbye to the loan portion. That's kind of
Amazing.
how it will work. If that's my funny little, hopefully I made
Amazing.
everybody.
Well, thank you, Mr. OSAP, I guess, in that case, right?
For Rebecca, huge win for you.
That's fantastic. Okay. All right. That's great. Well, Tori will uh, look at a few more of these questions. I will continue with the presentation, and then Chantel, if you want to chime in or type away, please feel free to do so. But I'll continue with this, and please, folks, if you have more questions, absolutely put those in the chat or Q&A function, and we will certainly get to that. So thank you again, Chantel. That was fantastic information. Much appreciated.
You're
Now,
welcome. I helped.
one of the big things to know is now that we have our OSAP, we've done our applications, we're ready to go. How do we actually pay it with financial aid? So when you're going to get a scholarship, award, or bursary, it is applied to your student account. So the value of this financial aid is larger than the amount of your fee, then Lakehead will issue you a refund. So you will be rest assured that any scholarship, award, or bursary that you're going to get from Lakehead University will go directly into whatever it is that you need to pay for. Absolutely. And then specifically with OSAP, so OSAP will send money directly to Lakehead University. So there's no changing of hands. There's no need to get a lump sum in your bank account and then get rid of it in the same day. It will be directly sent to Lakehead. So you can know that the money that you're getting from OSAP will go directly to your tuition and your student fees and whatever else you need to pay for with Lakehead University. And again, if there's a remaining amount, OSAP will send that directly to you. So OSAP will make sure first and foremost that your tuition is paid and your fees are paid. And then, so let's say you're going to get 10,000 from OSAP and your tuition is 7 and you've got some fees on there making it 8 and you have $2,000 remaining. Well, that will be sent to you in the case of you need to pay for books, you need to pay for residence, meal plans, things like that, but that money is for you to get through the school year, hopefully. And then with, again, your supplemental income will assist further with that. Amazing. So some important dates to note is the Destination Lakehead bursary is due July 15th. So you do have some time, but please do not forget. So we did have one round that had finished in April, and we're going to be doing a final round for July 15th. So please get that in if you are going to be applying to the Destination Lakehead bursary. We highly recommend it. And those bursaries will be credited to the qualifying students in your account on your first day of classes. As Tori went into very, very great detail about my awards, those are going to open on August 15th of this year. and applications for the most part will close mid-August. So again, please highlight those dates, write them down in your calendar, make an alarm in your phone, and make sure that between August 15th and October 15th, you are looking at that My Awards portal and doing the supplemental applications that may come with a few of those awards. Like Tori said, they could be as small as a one-page essay. They could be as large as the 20-page essay, but you do the work for what you need, right? And again, work study applications will open August 15th. You will need to complete an eligibility form, so please do that. And then each job will have its own closing date depending on where it is you would like to work. The recruitment team is always a fantastic place to work. I just have to plug that, but I am a little bit biased as I do work in this amazing team. All right, fantastic. So I can see we do have a few more questions that we're going to say out loud, I do believe. Okay, fantastic. All right. Chantel, I think I'm gonna need you for this one, if that's all right with you. All
Yeah,
right.
that's fine. Yeah, that's great.
All right. So when we apply, you'll see the grant and the loan amounts, and then you select either or both at that time. Do you have to decide as soon as that application is finished? Can you select grant only, go back into the loan portion, or vice versa? Guess you wouldn't need vice versa, but anyway.
So when you do the application, if you're applying for grant only, you can apply for grant only in there. I would recommend, though, applying for both. And the reason I recommend applying for both is because what if you get down the line and you realize, oh, darn it, like I need some more money, right? You've used all your grant money and you've used your all money. You have the loan money. It's sitting there. You're not going to use it. You're approved for loan money. You're approved for grant money. And you've used your grant money for sure first, but you've got your loan money there as a just in case, a little bit of a cushion. And guess what? You don't use it. You're better off. Just pay it right back then. No questions asked, right? It just doesn't hurt to have it. You're already going through the application process. May as well do it now, as opposed to being in a situation where you just do the grant money and then you're there thinking, oh, shoot, now I need to scramble to get these documents that I need, but I'm also in school struggling, right? We don't want to get too far down a deep hole. That's what I would recommend to somebody just to keep everybody's sanity and mental health correctly. So it's either or, it's totally up to you. You can select grant only.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And can you clarify a little bit regarding a summer semester or a summer course? How does someone go about applying for OSAP if they're in a compressed program that requires schooling for 12 months of the year?
So if it's required for your program and you're in the full-time course load, you can get OSAP funding for the summer courses as well. OSAP will know that the program's the condensed program if that's what you're taking, and you will receive funding for it. There have been situations where somebody's, for example, maybe you're only taking one course in the summer, and just to upgrade, maybe lessen your course load for the fall term or whatnot, you can apply for funding as well for that. That being said, you're only going to get funding based off of one course load. You're not going to get the funding that you would normally get for the full-time course load. Hope that kind of answered it.
Yeah, amazing. So, to my understanding, the summer semester is in the current year OSAP application. So if someone's starting in September of 24, they're going to apply for a summer semester in 2025 for that summer. Is that correct?
Yep,
Amazing.
current year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. I hope that answered the question that was in the chat. If not, please reach out. We'll try to clarify even more. Next question is, when you are married and now support yourself, do you still need to provide parental financial information?
No, no. So, when you do your, think about it when you do your taxes, right? So that's kind of the easiest way to think about it. If I'm going to explain it to you is, if I am the married person in this situation, then it's myself and my spouse's income in my family home. It's not my parents because I don't live with them anymore. So it's kind of just relevant to you and the financial home umbrella that you live in.
So if we live with our parents, but we're married, we still don't include
Ooh,
our parents' financial information?
if you know what, that one, Rebecca, come on.
Did I stump
It is,
you?
yeah, I would say, let me look at it. I would say, let me look
Certainly.
at that.
Yeah,
I
that's a
don't
pretty
think
specific situation,
it's
but
not.
yeah, that's
I would
okay.
say if I was, yeah, if I was guessing and I don't want to do that, I would guess that the answer is no, because it's not, you're not falling under their financial umbrella.
Very good. Okay. But we will look that answer up. So please,
Yep,
Chantel's information is in the chat. So copy down that email address and maybe just send a very personal, specific question and we can look into that answer for you. Absolutely.
perfect.
All right. We have another one here. So we have OSAP money, but we decided not to use it. Do we leave it in the bank untouched or do we ask OSAP to take it back? How do we manage that money best while we're in school still?
So if you're in school still and you have the money sitting there, you can 100% give it back to OSAP. Absolutely. You can arrange to have, it's like an arrangement for repayment. They can take the money right back from you. And if that's something you want to do just to get it out of sight, out of mind, and out of your hair, please do so. Um, if you want to keep it, like I said, I kind of already touched on this for a situation where there may be an oopsies. Maybe you have to take a couple more courses. Maybe you need to get some sort of like up whenever you need.
All right, fantastic. Okay. All right. I'm going to continue on here. We just have a few more questions, but we'll wrap up our presentation and then we'll leave a little bit more time at the end for any other questions that we might have. So thank you again, Chantel. Very much appreciated.
Sure. Okay, no problem.
All right. So after tonight, we don't want this to be the last time that we speak. And like we've all mentioned tonight, we are here to help you. We are here to make sure that you get through this process successfully and that you are the best student you can be when you start in September. So please, if you have specific questions about financial aid, even anything like admissions, registration, things like that, please reach out to Student Central. Student Central is the one-stop shop for anything to do with being a successful student. They can help you with, as I mentioned, financial aid. They can even point you in the direction for any other support that you might need that is going to help you get to where you need to be. So please reach out. A couple of our other important dates that we have coming up. We want to make sure that everything is done on time. So please make sure that your deadline to accept your offer of admission is June 3rd. So please asterisk that on your calendar, set an alarm, write a note, make sure you do that. We are also going to be looking at the end of June for entrance bursaries deadline, as well as registration and residence is in mid-August. Now, all of this information is on the website lakeheadu.ca, so please be sure to check that out. If you have anything specific that you're looking for, then that can be found at lakeheadu.ca, and we encourage you to take a look at it to make sure that you're not missing anything and missing out on some really great opportunities. All right. So after today, you've decided, you know what? These people are fantastic. I want to go there. Well, guess what? You can you can book a campus tour in person or virtual. They are run almost every day, all year round except for Christmas. So you can come and see the Thunder Bay or the Aurelia campus. Uh, all of the information is at lakeheadu.ca/tours. You can book a time to see it. You can also book a faculty meeting if you're interested in speaking with a program coordinator or a professor or something like that. That is absolutely an option as well. All right. Don't forget to get social. Follow us everywhere because we're a lot of fun. My Lakehead is where you'll find almost everything that you're going to need. And as mentioned in the Q&A previously, there are a lot of different departments and a lot of different amazing people at Lakehead who have their own social media. Departments have their own. Each you know, professors have their own, the whole thing. So follow everyone with Lakehead because it's a lot of fun and you're going to get a lot of really amazing information. All right. Now, that is it for the formal portion of the presentation tonight. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's joined us tonight. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the questions. We really hope that everything that you needed tonight was answered and that you have no other questions after tonight about financial aid or financing your education. I know that's a pipe dream, but here's to hoping. I also want to thank Chantel for being an amazing expert in the field of financial literacy, and for Tori for just amazing work in that Q&A. Thank you so much for all of your assistance. Now, we will, again, this is recorded, so we will be putting this up on YouTube. You can reach us outside of this webinar. Chantel's information is in the chat, and then you can reach Tori and I at recruit@lakeheadu.ca. We both have phone and Zoom meeting appointment times if you have more questions and want to get a little bit more information, or if you want to just chat, you can absolutely do that. You can find that at lakeheadu.ca as well. So thank you again, Chantel and Tori. Thank you for everyone joining us tonight. We wish you a lovely Tuesday, and we cannot wait to see you in September. Thank you so much, and have a great night, everyone. Much appreciated. Thank you.